Alright, just a disclaimer, we have an editing note that we're having technical difficulties with one of our computers. Editing will be
Alert.
done,
It's in the mothership.
but regardless, so you guys heard everything I said though.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Alright, cool. Yeah, just hearing explosions and shit. I mean, that's crazy though. Just imagine living there.
It's fucked up.
I love warmth, so you probably couldn't catch me up there, dog. I'm gonna be real with you.
It's getting pretty warm, dog. I mean, like I said, the global warming is like raising the temperatures there, thawing everything out. I mean, it could let out some diseases, some ancient diseases,
That melt out of
and
the ice, right? And then
exactly,
yeah. So like that ice melts, and then before we know it, we have a fucking disease that's from like 10,000 years ago, and then our antibiotics build us up to so much to the normal diseases. But say like those antibiotics numb us out to those, then we can't really do shit about it. But that's my own opinion, my own thing.
I hear that a consequence of this old ice or permafrost melting and methane releasing, it's causing what they call a positive feedback in the carbon cycle. So as carbon rates increase, the ice melts quicker, greater amounts of methane is released, and so it just continues on.
I see. That's pretty scary.
But isn't it like a thing of like how history, not even talking about human history, but like life's history kind of repeats itself. Like the world, Mother Nature, however you want to say it, goes through its own life changes and they repeat. So say that we're going through another one of those repeats.
I
I
mean,
understand what you're saying. But go ahead, Cal, continue.
yeah, he makes what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Around, I mean, there is a natural cycle that everything follows, same for evolution or whatever you may put it. Um, I mean, you have a lot of people also try to explain why humans contribute so much to that cycle, um, when neither proven or non-proven. I mean, like proven or non-proven here, saying that like humans really don't contribute that much to it because of how big the ozone is and how big of an atmosphere Earth has and how dense it is. Um, so like Earth is really just doing its own thing. We're not really contributing that too much to that. So
Honestly,
like
though.
go ahead and cut that kind of out of the conversation. Not necessarily we're trying to cut down context here, just saying that that's a simple like misconception a lot of people have, saying that humans contribute so much to the way the climate acts on Earth.
But
Going back to the fact it's Mother Nature's like just natural cycle.
yeah, and like it has to do what it has to do. Like obviously we are leaving an impact on it, but it's gonna redo it and do it again. Like it's done it for millions of years. Like we've only been here for not that long. Like let's be real here. Our industry and all that, factories, they haven't really been here that long. And then for us to say that like we're leaving such a big like effect on the world, like yeah, I get it. We probably are in our own key of way how we think about it, but deep down, like Mother Nature, Earth, whatever you want to call it, like it repeats it. It does it. It does it over and over again. Like we've already been through several ice ages through this time, and it just kind of keeps going to that end. Don't worry, I can bleep out any of this non-silence that we got. I can bleep out my own shit. Don't worry, boys.
For sure. But then, what's it called? Just if anything too, like even besides the methane, like I was saying, just even releasing a virus, an ancient virus too, even at that.
Well, and then
Was
like,
like the antibiotics today is like they're made from variants and strains of
well,
from a lineage from the ones that are getting released.
yeah, well, and then here's the thing with antibiotics, is like they're pumping so much antibiotics into our cows, the meat that we eat. Like they're putting so many antibiotics into the food that we eat. So technically, we're already taking those antibiotics, but then bacteria, diseases, all that. That their whole thing is to counter antibiotics. And then say like you eat so much of a cow. No offense, Sebastian, but say you eat so
Oh,
much of a cow, and they're pumped with antibiotics, and say they give you those antibiotics. Those antibiotics aren't going to do shit to you for the new disease that comes up.
I'm not even sure that the cows having eaten the antibiotics serves you. I think once
No,
it's metabolized, they don't even feed it to them for the purpose of health. It's
for
the way
growth.
yeah, it just fattens up, makes them fat very quick.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just rapid growth. So you can just turn around a cow in
oh,
a year, 2 years.
that's so sick. Fuck.
Um, but also on top of that, I mean, sorry, ESPN said fuck me. No, and if you think about it, right, even just the process of cooking, like the meat itself, you cook out so much fat and mineral out of the food once you actually do start to cook. Like let's say ground beef, for instance, you're making a hamburger, right? You're on the grill. You're cooking out so much mineral and like protein, like not necessarily proteins, but like vital nutrients. So I wonder if that same concept would apply to those those antibiotics and things like that. If they did, somehow affect us in some shape, form, or fashion. I wonder if any cooking process for us would actually affect that any. Also, following up on what he said earlier previously about the metabolism of those as well. Once your body metabolizes those antibiotics, if they are in our system after processes of cooking.
Damn.
I mean, other than that, yeah, it does nothing to them like the cow other than just growth, rapid growth.
But then, in a way, is that kind of like fucked up?
It increases the probability of a new strain developing that's resistant to those antibiotics. And I think this is already a major issue in the pharmaceutical industry, but it's not being paid much. It's not
Attention.
receiving financial support because it's not in the interest of research programs, because terminal illnesses like cancer, unlike bacterial illnesses, are far more lucrative. So it's kind of being pushed aside and not addressed that we have bugs developing maybe quicker than we're able to keep up with them.
So, if in a way, we're kind of building up their antibiotics, the bugs,
Their
diseases.
immune system, in a sense.
Fuck. So. Okay, so we're kind of only fucking our own immune system by pumping them full of all this.
Well, not necessarily our own immune system, but we're benefiting the illness or the bug like that's being developed over time,
Yeah.
right? Like let's say we release something out of again the permafrost or whatever it may be out of glacier from hundreds of million years ago, right? That we've never discovered or ever had to adapt to as humans. And then they get into the world, right? They start spreading. Well, they're exposed to the antibiotics that are already in the world, like things that are put in cows, things that are put in simple medicines.
So it's got that whole thing of like pros and cons. Like,
Yeah, because you figure like the more protein you have, I mean, the more you meat you get from one cow, the less cows you take care of. I mean, the less
yeah.
methane built up is in the sky and the less threat it is. But like I said, eventually gets to a point where the antibiotics do stop working or they end up being too strong for the body to handle.
So then, in a way, it could be a huge con. But like, obviously, that's not what we're going for. It's like we're trying to just benefit humans, humanity, as a thing. But it could definitely become like a total con for all of us in the long run. Like, not say 10 years down the road. Like we could say 100 years down the road. It could definitely be a big con in the long run. Because like those diseases could build off of and learn how to. Because let's think about it. Like a disease is like a brain in a way. It's learning its ways to do its thing, learn, adapt. Like humans do it all the time. We gotta learn, adapt. Gotta adapt over this situation, adapt over this. And like they could be doing the same fucking thing. So I could see
For sure.
like I could see down a long run maybe, but it's just my own fucking opinion. My opinion doesn't mean really jack shit to be honest, but it could definitely be that.
Yeah, so several threats. You imagine. I mean, the the viruses, the way they strive is that they take control of the machinery of the cells that are already available to them. But you figure eventually it gets to a point where we could isolate a single thing, but the battle we're facing is when it mutates.
Yeah.
And it's mutating too quickly.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of motherfuckers interested in this shit either, dog. I'm gonna be straight with that too. Like, not yeah. There's the ones that are doing it. Salute to y'all. Like, those are the real people doing it. But regardless, though, there's not a lot of people wanting to be a lot of fucking things that benefit
No.
humanity.
I mean, the
Cause
biggest contribution of that is just the amount of income they get toward that. I mean, funding through not only like a sponsor based level, but through like a national or government based level is just so scarce. I mean, it's a lot of money, even though compared to what it is. But like some of your other research fundings, like again, he brought up cancer earlier, they get a ton of funding toward that, right? But these programs that are trying to get a hold of these bugs and illnesses before they spread and actually become something serious are not getting the funding they need to actually stop them.
it's really fucking true though. Like I don't know, man. The funding that we're getting for human health, like just the fact that they put that you need to pay for this and do this for your own health. Let's be real here. None of us signed up to be a human. Like let's be here. Like none of us signed up to have cancer. None of us signed up to have this. None of us signed up to do this. Trying to make like profit off of us individuals for doing this. It's I don't even know. I can't even say it's fucked up, but like at the same sense, it's like we need to make money to support. Don't worry, I'll cut that dead silence out.
I mean, but things do come out at a cost, though. Eventually, you figure.
Well, like when they had to make the Coliseum, it was a cost. They had to pay a lot.
Mm.
Slave labor. They had to do it. It wasn't morally right for humans, but we had to do what we had to do that. So in a way, I could see that like having all these people pay for this just to do this. I could see it in the long run as working. But now, like, you're like, I can't even afford this. I can't do this. It's kind of like, well, fuck. What is that doing for me? But deep down, you should probably think about it like the long term effect is going to be good. At least we all hope that it will be good in the long term.
I mean, that's with everything too, even like with the viruses too. I mean, you could just only hope they stay dormant or at least stop mutating for the meanwhile to like at least analyze them.
But
But like
then,
you saying though, like even like your point that you're saying though too, like even before that, I don't mean to cut you off though, but like there's like several threats too. Just like even we're just listing just the main basic. I mean the basic too, are just like the viruses and the methane and the global warming. I mean, like you said, there's just a lot of shit out there. Pretty much, it's just gotta deal with.
yeah. And it's like, us people today, we don't want to deal with it, but we have to. It's a whole nother stage to our, not even our grandchildren, but further on that, like, it's a bullet that we're gonna have to pay so they can do better. Like, we don't
Well,
see it now, but hopefully down the road, we hope that it will benefit them and do better.
those fuckers are Siberians are paying for it now, dog.
Over in Siberia, are there like structures? Is this happening in communities?
Yeah, well, these scientists only recently started studying them because they found like only maybe a couple dozen. But after they started surveying the locals, they started discovering that there is at least over 7,000 of these bulges ready to go off. So they're roughly living like pretty much on, yeah, like landmines everywhere. But that's just
Wow.
around the Gulfs and the places that have permafrost. Thawing permafrost at that too. Well, that's the thing about permafrost too. Permafrost is just anything that's any soil that's been frozen over 2 years consecutively. So you figure like a lot of that shit being called permafrost has only been frozen for only so much time.
But then it could also be longer.
I think Siberia's been frozen for, like Dylan said, some 10,000 years.
Hmm. But what I'm getting at though is just like at the rate that like even all this ground could like potentially be the same age is what I'm trying to get at too. It's like that's why all this is happening.
Well, I
Like it's
mean,
just time for all of it to come up.
like
Oh, I see.
Siberia's winter was roughly 10 degrees warmer. I mean, like most of their winter, the majority of their winter was 10 degrees above average for what they normally have. And I mean, 10 degrees in the aspect of freezing isn't much, but for like deep soil freezing, for instance, permafrost to penetrate deep into the ground for it to be cold like that, that's a huge difference. Um, I mean, there's been a study on it showing that, you know, thawing permafrost layers has led to not only massive oil spills because of frozen oil inside the soil there, but they've
Shit.
also led to mass wildfires because of that reason, where the oil reaches the surface. Um, Somebody has like a fire or something, and then it causes a fire throughout the woods or wherever they're near because of the oil that's been resting in the ground is now froze to the surface because it's unfroze.
There's not really much we could do about it too. It's like it's just gonna happen either way.
But what if, like, the Earth is trying to, like, recycle itself? You know what I mean? Like, so say, like, reptiles, they have to shed that skin. What if the Earth is trying to shed that skin to live longer?
Theoretically, yeah. I mean, eventually it goes through a cycle. I mean, even for like
Yeah.
a ice age and like all that to happen again too. It's like it's the lineage of Earth is it's expected, but I mean, so soon though.
But, like, what if that, like, what if we're not even the reason for all this? What if it's just Earth trying to, like, re skin itself? You know what I mean? Like go through its own phase. Like honestly, not to say that we're helping it, but like we could be maybe speeding up the process, which is not good, but it could be happening. Like honestly, like if you're Earth, you would want to think of humans as an antibiotic. You know, like all of us, each of us on this Earth. Like think about your body as Earth, and you have a bunch of us on it. Wouldn't you want us to be the antibiotic and not the disease?
I
But like,
understand your correlation, and in that sense, it's like you believe
Mhm.
that the Earth is alive, right?
yes, I feel like the sun, I feel like all of it is alive. I feel like the universe in general is alive. But like, what if we're not really like the antibiotic that goes into our body, but what if we're becoming and mutating into this like disease?
You could like
Hold on,
describing a
motherfucker.
cancer.
You can't say that because there's several animals that do just as much damage, if not, I mean, not as to the point that we've done,
But
but
but there's multiple diseases. You feel me?
geared towards us or just like,
Us, any other animal, could lead into this disease upon the earth, and say the earth is you, and say you have worms. You have worms that can benefit you, and then you have worms that can bring you down and give you diseases and do all this.
mm,
So, like,
you're suggesting the Earth is wanting to purge humans.
yeah, in a way, like maybe that's why it does its freeze volcanoes. All this. What if it does this to just purge it and try and clean itself from this? It's a
Hmm.
far fetched theory. It's very far fetched.
Well, I think some things I would add to that as I'm picturing, because I like the picture drawing for us. I think it's quite interesting. But thinking of a parasite like a worm, a tapeworm, whatever,
Yeah.
that's a foreign body. Whereas I think of us more as like cells of the earth, where the organs, humans are an organ, the ocean is, everything is playing its cellular
Parts.
role relative to the earth, including not even just speaking of organisms, the earth's own forces, such as its tectonic plates. It's all a harmonious system supporting, in this case, we could say an organism that is the earth. And so I do think cleansing is a natural process of that. And so is the process of, well, see, one thing is though, it's not the earth purging us. We are intertwined with the earth. It is us partaking in our own purging by necessity. You can't divide us from the thing that we're engaged with so seamlessly. And I think every organism then is doing the same. So it's destroying and or procreating at the same time. It's just some are more efficient with the procreating, and it may be our end of the line where death outnumbers birth rates any time. But we also have the potential to keep up with any of the natural disasters and adapt alongside the earth and maintain.
And then you gotta think, like, humans, they're resilient. Like, we're really resilient. Just like the earth is really resilient. Earth goes through all this shit. We go through all this shit, but we still keep on thriving and doing what we gotta do and keep going.
So, I mean,
I'm trying not to lead this conversation to space just on Zay.
well, so like, what I'm trying to
Siberian space.
kind of back to this conversation, how we fit in seamlessly and like just kind of fit in and how other like species procreate better, or how the death to survival rate will be higher. I mean, I guess humans take it upon ourselves to try to regulate that population. I mean, it works on a large, like a low scale, like a small scale operation, like within states. But like for humans, for instance, like what 7.5 billion, roughly, I believe it is the number right now. Um, I mean, that number's almost tripled in the past what 300-400 years. So really go look at that whole scenario of the Earth trying to purge, not necessarily purge, but do its own cycle. And humans, um, by letting us overpopulate, and then that death to like survival ratio might actually pop up. How you were speaking of, like how that could pop up eventually.
When you were in school, like as a kid, did you ever, what was that thing called? Like everybody searched it up. It was like a mortality clock or a death clock. Like it count
Yeah.
like all the, yeah, just all the deaths that happened within the day and the second, all the births.
Yeah, it was keeping track of how many deaths you had per second, minute, and for the day,
Yeah, just
and then
things
give
like
you like
that
how
to
many
keep track
things.
of everything. Like I kind
Yeah.
of figure that eventually like there's kind of like a balance at certain points. And there's kind of like things that come into play too, like even with cultures too. Like say for Japan, like even when they have the way they're strict with their children and what they have too, or even with just the abortion rates. I mean, there's a lot of factors that come into play with it too. I mean, I believe it's growing, but not as exponentially as it was. I mean, I kind of believe the Earth is able to populate a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of underdeveloped places and land, but regardless of the point that I'm trying to make though is that I mean, there's kind of like a balance, like like there's only so long that people live in certain areas too. It's like even when somebody's born that day, somebody dies that day as well too.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of getting at like this kind of, I think there's kind of like a balance point eventually for a while.
So, so what was life like for people who might have lived closer to the freezing of the permafrost, like the what were they called? The Archaeums.
Uh, well, towards the Ural Mountains, yeah, that's what the people were called. I think it was, I'm not sure of the exact geological location of it, but yeah, there was a civilization that was discovered called the Archaeum, and these people were the Archaeans. And I mean, I don't really know too much about the living conditions towards like the winters and the summers. I mean, I know their summers are like 2 months long out of the whole year. But I mean, the interesting thing though about them, I mean, which everybody kind of like talking about is like their civilization and the building that they lived within. It was
Is
like it
it
was
this
just
round structure?
yeah, it was that circular structure. It's kind of similar to fucking Stonehenge. It's like the Stonehenge of Russia is what they call it. But the only difference is between Stonehenge and the Archaeum is
Yeah,
that
you don't want a cigarette. Stop.
they believe that it's like astrologically aligned and more accurate. Like the observations of 18 phenomena using 30 elements is what the Archaeum can do, and the Stonehenge could only observe 10 astronomical phenomena using 22 elements. So
So
it's
this is
interesting how advanced they were.
it's a giant astrological tool.
A compass, something. I mean, nobody's really sure what.
Have you seen the reconstructions?
Oh yeah, they say it's been destroyed and constructed like several times over the years. I think even recently they're trying to construct it. I may be wrong on that too. But I mean, even just that area too is just insane because of the magnetic field. It constantly gets thrown off supposedly around the area. The locals around the area start they experience it as well. They say that that goes on and that they see weird shit in the sky. I mean, UFOs are always going to be equated to that too, but I mean, they talk about weird shit that happens around that area. I mean, the whole Ural Mountains are just filled with weird shit.
Hmm.
Very weird.
But that Archaeum, though, I'm not really sure about the reconstruction of it, but they were an advanced people too, an advanced civilization. Like, I mean, even like I was telling you guys, the elongated skulls that they found within one of the grave sites near
Yeah.
that place. I mean, the elongated skulls were they're people think it's like UFOs and aliens and shit. Well, it's like more necessarily associated with like people with higher consciousness and people who had higher learning. Like even since birth, they would the way it's caused is like they would tie these children when they're born. They would wrap their heads in planks and they would just consistently elongate their skulls. Like even it's a common practice with several cultures, even with the Attila the Hun, like the Mongols. There would be like a sign of dominance and strength for the males. Like the pointier the head, like the scarier you were.
Fucked up.
I mean, it is fucked up, dude. Like even being a conehead, but not to them though. It's like I guess it's just they thought it was a sign of a hierarchy.
Almost like the elongated necks in some countries.
Hmm.
Exactly, like things like that of sort of like, but like the thing about it though is like they're always trying to attribute it to UFOs because of, like I said, the weird shit that goes on there. Like even there's some magnetic zones that just consistently get thrown off there.
Well, I imagine that was interesting to the people of their time period too. They probably seen strange stuff going on, so they decided it was a special place.
I mean, circular structures aren't like necessarily new. I mean, everybody's had them from like Australia, Brazil, Britain, Spain, Syria, Morocco, Japan. It's just like how they used it or how accurate it actually was. It's even crazy we're talking about the Ural Mountains now too, because like even Call of Duty has a new fucking map for the Ural Mountains.
Oh shoot.
Regardless, though, it's like it's just one of the strange phenomena that goes on there. It's even crazy though. There's like a geoglyphs that's been found there.
What's a
Like
geoglyph?
they think it's an elk. It's like near some Lake Chiracco, and it's kind of similar to what they have there in Peru. It's just like a giant carving in the ground.
So then, sorry to cut you off. So then they're seeing the same geoglyphs that they see up in Siberia as they did in South America, right?
Yeah, so you're seeing like how all this is correlating. Like all of them are getting similar.
Yeah. And then I don't want to go off into this tantrum again, but it's like Egypt, their pyramids, South America, their pyramids, Antarctica, their
That,
pyramids.
that's what I was gonna get into though too as well, because like they're even finding what's the word for it? Not not geoglyphs, fucking
Hydroglyphs?
nah, and like Neolithic hinges that were like perfectly cut that they found there in Siberia too.
Like what they had in Stonehenge.
Yeah, and
With
like Egypt, just like perfectly cut
Yeah,
stones, but these fucking stones were like fucking 3,000, 4,000 tons. They were fucking 150 meters in diameter.
I feel like us as a race, as human beings alone, I feel like we were more advanced. Like, okay, we had some fucked up shit going on, like slavery, hierarchies. We had a lot of that going on. But yeah, like, you want people to be equal, but like at the same time, you have ants, queen ants, fighters, workers, all that. Everybody has to play their course in this life. And, like, I know nowadays, yeah, you're not going to have that. But, like, what if that is how you evolve as a race? Like, people gotta bite the bullet to do that. Like, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking, like, you have to do this, but, like, what if, like, there's a reason why they had people, like, they were slaves doing this so that other people who were higher up in evolution were like, we're doing this so we can expand on future races. Like me personally, I wouldn't be down with it, but like you have to do what you have to do to hit that next evolution stage. And it's sad to say, but whoever said life was fair, whoever said life was going to give you this and this, life is life. You're going in here with what you got, and you have to.
Listen, you sick mother. No, I'm kidding, bro.
No, but I'm just saying, like me personally, I wasn't given everything, and like you have to deal with what you have. Like it's like poker. Like you have the hand that you're given, and you have to either figure out what you're gonna do with that hand.
I understand your point. Like even like saying we have to go through hardships to advance and
Yeah,
throughout humanity, even with these viruses going on, like we were talking about too. It's like, but what the
it
fuck was I gonna
sucks.
get at?
It sucks, bro. It sucks. Like shit. I didn't want to deal with the cards I was dealt with, but I had to deal with what I had, and for the cards that I was given, I was taught a lot more than say if I had a fucking straight flush and I was given all like I could be in day one. I wouldn't have learned and thought about all the cards that I was dealt with like I have now, if that makes any sense.
Like even going back to your point about like slavery, like fucking
It's fucked
you
up.
ever, yeah,
It's
but you ever think about it like it's not like I don't think anybody ever thought of it as like a thought out idea before they established like try to establish it. I think it was like built like even like fucking Hitler's army too. I don't think everybody necessarily understood the main concept. I mean, they're just following up to a
yeah.
point, like being misled, and then it is what it is.
Yeah,
Like that's how
honestly.
shit goes.
But
I
like
heard that I heard they were before we had settlements. We're hunter gatherers. This is placing us more than 10,000 years ago. Hunter gatherer groups didn't tend to have a hierarchy as we would come to think of it today, because more or less everyone had to be a participant of the same general thing. Once we settled and population grew and there was a surplus of food, so that not everyone had to always be gathering, you had idle hands, and so we were able to start more devote certain people to education, so little kids could not work and could just sit there, and thus Mesopotamia, they spit out things like pi, the circle, the wheel, um, and they migrate there. These include the Aryan people who would go to the Ural Mountains. So it seems, if we're looking at them as a model, the earliest humans, the earliest settlers, just the structure of a settled community organizes itself in a hierarchical manner in order for it to work. And I don't, like Isaiah's saying, I don't know if it's so obvious that the people just came to that plan. I think they're kind of figuring it out as they go, and it kind of takes shape, learning on the job kind of thing. Maybe because it is a natural order.
Even like how we were talking about the internet before we were having this podcast, like we were saying that it was originally established for a completely different reason than what it is now. It's like people just took it and they molded it into what it is now.
And people probably used it to benefit themselves.
And that's with anything though. Like with everything too. Like even when you're asking about why slavery, it's like eventually some of these motherfuckers will be like, I don't want to do this shit. Like eventually if I get somebody else to do this shit, and then like it just, I don't know. It's not even that simple too. Like I can't even say shit like that honestly. But I see what you mean. Like these hardships. Like I
Like,
don't
we
know.
all
Like
have to go through hardships just to.
I mean, we do endure them to a point. Though we do learn from like a lot. Like even like from the terroristic attacks to fucking cyber, like a lot of things. Like even not even us, just like natural threats and.
Alrighty, so Cal's gonna be leaving right now, boys.
Alrighty.
And Cal, I hope everything goes well for you.
Everything should go smooth. We hope.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good
Yeah.
luck indeed.
Man.
We'll
Good
be.
I'll
luck.
keep you
Good
updated.
job.
Yo,
Thanks for coming.
yo, I'll be here.
I'll be back.
I'll be
for
here
sure.
for you, Cal. If you needed a
Yeah, I'll
rant or
keep y'all.
whatever.
Okay. See y'all. I'll be back here. I don't know if I'll be back.
All right. Peace.
Alright, later, Cal.
See ya.
Well, this is gonna go back. I'm gonna take us back to the whole viruses being frozen in permafrost. That I took that from an article.
Oh, back to the viruses, like being
Yeah.
trapped into snow and ice and all that. And then
Hmm.
nowadays they're melting and then they're becoming more and more than what our own immune system can deal with. And
I don't know. It's necessarily like things. I don't know. It's like just the things that we're scared of though. Just the sizes of these things too, as well. Like you look at the viruses compared to back then to now, it's like they're several times bigger. Like it's dramatically bigger.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder why.
I
I
mean,
know
just
that
I imagine the harsh conditions of the earth. But I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, yeah, go
you're
ahead.
good.
Siberia too is, I guess that makes sense, just being cold climate. They had the megafauna like the woolly mammoths and woolly rhinos and the giant elk. I guess giant viruses too.
literally though.
It's interesting to see what else they'll discover with it thawing out.
They found like oh, they found like the woolly mammoth, of course, too. I mean, they've been trying to revive, or I mean, not revive them, make an embryo out of it, and just try to like
Jurassic Park
necessarily
that shit.
like recreate one.
Clone them.
Jurassic Park, that shit, yeah. And they found some other interesting shit too. They found like a woman frozen in ice. They found lion cubs from like several thousand years ago that were still intact. They found a puppy, I think.
Yeah, it's Siberia is a crazy place.
Wow.
But just imagine the history that's been lost too, because like even the land masses too, like everything seems like so desolate. But if you look, well, they've looked and they've seen like the land that's pretty much looking like it's so desolate is just been cleared by these icebergs, just passing over the land, just smoothing everything out. So there's several things that we're missing that's just been torn apart. But like that Siberian woman that I was telling you about that was found in the ice, like she's from like the 5th century and she was found intact. 2,500-year-old Siberian warrior woman was found.
And then that makes me
Wow.
think of like cryogenic stuff. Like, say you were to freeze yourself for 1,000 years and then come back.
I don't
Well,
know if
even
freezing would be the key. My bad.
I,
no, yeah, that's
I
fine.
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't either. Because wouldn't you think when you freeze the brain would die?
Good question.
Because like,
Or the moisture would crack. Like,
yeah, but like, wouldn't you freeze the conscience? Like, so say like my conscience is doing whatever I'm doing, Nick's conscience is doing whatever he's doing, your conscience is doing whatever you're doing, and then Quinn's conscience is doing whatever he's doing. But say you froze the body of what you were, would the conscience still stick there? Or would it go? And then would you be dead?
used to think about that. Even like imagine having to induce a coma just so people could do that. Or even going to sleep.
But like, would your conscience stick there or would it become another conscience? Would you have created another conscience to be there?
You wake
Once
up a
again
whole
into
nother fucking person.
speculation.
Well, it's possible, but like, say they have a bit of your conscience there, but your conscience
I
never
imagine
did what it had to do to fulfill its thing.
your sense of conscience seems to parallel that of like Hinduism, Atman. Maybe not. What do you mean by conscience? Is what's your idea of it when you
Like,
say this?
when I say conscience, it is me, who I am as me, an individual, as of like when I'm like, fuck it, I want a breakfast sandwich instead of coffee. Like, that is my conscience living out my body. But say you freeze yourself and your conscience is just chilling, wouldn't you think your conscience would raise up and go to somewhere else instead of just sitting there?
Well, not your personality, but your actual consensus.
Closest thing I can think of to help me grasp, because that's an interesting question. I don't know, but if a monk is in a state which they call samadhi, that is single pointed focus, which is to say their consciousness is in one place,
Yeah.
just a single void singularity. And so that's the sum of their experience if you're properly in that state. That seems a bit off though if you're frozen. So I'm going to guess that's not the case because it seems closer to being dead or something. So then what? What does the conscious and the body separate and just return? Or
I wouldn't think it would return. But what if another conscience took its place? It's a bit far fetched.
Or you just wake up completely like a child,
That's what.
to
Yes, yes.
not
Like,
completely unknown, but like your motor skills and everything have to function and get back at it.
you think it'd be like a memory wipe though? You just have the genetic code.
Yeah, because memories do die. They do have a lifespan. But I don't know
yes.
about freezing them too. Like you're freezing them as well. It's like,
But then, like, say you froze you and the conscience and your memory, and say you just stayed there stagnant in a dream, and then you unfroze and you were back.
I assume it probably like always some complications and probably have the body spaz out, freak out. I mean, there's no stimulation, there's no reaction. I mean, eventually, like the for conscious to even be there, it needs a brain to be alive. It needs a functioning body. It's like you take that out, it's like eventually the conscious goes out as well. Unless it's like a TV, like it turns off and you can turn it back on and it just resumes.
Well, that's how memories, as I think of them, work. They're, in order for you to grasp that picture of 7th grade, it has to exist, but it's also just totally gone, like turning off the TV when you're not looking at it, when your conscience isn't placed atop of it, like it were an object.
That's a really fucking interesting question you have, Dylan. Like,
my brain and my conscience are not ready for that.
cause like, I mean, they've exploited it. I mean, on different ideas, like even with Futurama and like that
Love
new
Futurama.
anime I was telling you, Doctor Stone. Like with him, when he gets frozen, his conscious to stay alive. He counts the whole time he's frozen until he's thawed out again. And I mean, that's another idea. Maybe people do shit like that. If you can, I don't know. I don't know if it's even fucking possible. Like I said, though, my whole point on it is I think that if we're frozen, we're just gonna break and be brittle. And
Mhm.
like, that's why I said even in the beginning too. Is like if there's another alternative other than freezing, it's like maybe even fucking like cybernetics or loading your conscience into a fucking computer. But even at that though, that's like you dying still, but that's a clone of you living in your place. It's like you're not necessarily living forever. Like someone's living in your place as you.
Here's one fun fact.
Do it.
Yeah.
The price with the other organizations. So basically, I looked up how much would it cost to cryogenically freeze yourself. Between 80 and 200K.
A year?
That's just for the whole thing. Like for, the thing is only 10 years long.
Where do you sign up, dude? Is this like an available thing?
I don't know if it's available to the public. It's just frequently asked questions, I guess.
And if the power goes out like fucking Texas, dude, what's the fuck?
Oh, sorry. 280K is only with your head. If you want your whole body, it's $28 million.
Oh, shoot. Well, maybe just need the head, I guess. Just the brain.
But
We're talking
But isn't
Walt
that what
Disney.
Walt Disney did?
But what if you paid that and then your own conscience didn't even come back to it?
In 2018, some guy went to be the first person to be cryogenically put in sleep. He will be woken up in 10 years from 2018.
But isn't that the rumor though that Walt Disney
That's
cryogenically
true.
froze himself and he lives within fucking Disneyland under one
That's
of the
that's
fucking
creepy in
rides?
itself.
Cause he
That's,
believed in fucking a lot of the scientists that were coming over after World War II. Even though he hated fucking like the American scientists that were captured and brought back.
You think he was influenced by technology on overseas?
Maybe, or maybe a fucking blockbuster, pop culture.
Yeah.
Maybe he was taking a shit and he saw an ad on the back of a magazine.
that's something I would do.
I think, well, wasn't the first Disney film animated, in color at least, Snow White, I think, with the seven
Yeah.
dwarfs, which is kind
What?
of a Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. A lot of your princesses have this trope of falling into a stasis, a sleep. Maybe it's 100 years. Maybe it's it depends on the story you read. But that was really very much Mr. Disney's thing.
It's true.
I didn't think about that, honestly.
Wasn't he a big old fucking creep, Walt Disney?
I don't know. I never heard anything about being a creep.
All I
I
know
mean,
is
being.
Monopoly, bro. Disney Monopoly.
What do you mean?
Disney bought Star Wars, bro. Disney bought all this shit just to control it.
Modern Disney has becoming a monopoly.
Yeah.
Do you think fucking first years of Disney. Well, the racist Disney.
Maybe not their origins of Disney meant to become what Disney is now. You feel me?
Cause even that cartoon, what was it? It was trying to depict an African American male. It was a BoJack, I think the cartoon was called, and it was just this extremely stereotypical fucking cartoon. I think Jay-Z even made a song about this.
Oh, I think I've seen the video if that's what he was referencing with it.
It was like BoJack or Samson or some shit like that. Fudge, dude, what? I sound like a racist ass talking shit like that
No,
too.
I think this might be from the Looney Tunes. They have they have that history too. A lot of racist black, huge lips and have them eating watermelon and all that stuff in their old cartoons.
Yeah. Even with the Gucci, they had a mask that was being scrutinized and was very controversial because it kind of depicted the big lips and the Jim Crow scene from Dumbo as well.
Jim Crow era. Heard a lot about that recently.
Lots of stuff I didn't remember well from high school history.
Jim Crow laws and all that bullshit. The Andrew Jackson days about the Indians.
Yeah, I think I might not have even gotten to that stuff until senior year history. Forgot it all.
I learned a lot about Andrew Jackson recently for some odd fucking reason.
Tell us.
And it was just during a murder podcast while I was at work. They were talking about how it was in the same area Andrew Jackson was born in, the same town. Talking about how ruthless he was with the Indians. I went in, kind of did. I don't know if it was similar to what the natives did or the natives did. The whole Thanksgiving massacre thing. It's kind of similar to that. Offered him a deal, got them all in one place pretty much. Just kind of, yeah, said, nope, we're going to take it.
Gay baby's born. I'll definitely cut
What
that
was
out.
that joke?
I'll definitely
What
cut
was
that
that?
out. Awkward silence, a gay baby's born. I'll definitely cut
Yeah,
that silence out. I'll definitely cut that one out.
I thought we were having technical difficulties, dog.
No,
Yeah. I
no.
see your little green circle flashing, so I thought you were trying to speak.
Damn.
I have a little summary going back to some Siberia stuff that the stuff I was looking up when Isaiah was talking about the archives. So, 42,000 years ago, the Earth's magnetic field flipped, and unrelated, the sun was having a period of low solar flares. This caused the magnetic field flip caused the ozone to not be even, so certain patches were weak, especially around the equator, and the sun flares, that radiation not coming through allowed cosmic radiation, I'm not quite sure what that is, but just from space pouring into our open ozone. Now this was landing in areas where early Homo sapiens are kind of probably living, and it was messing up the climate, making it intense, lots of radiation. So it's something that might have motivated them to migrate into Northern Europe areas. This is where they'll be entering into Siberia, and they encountered the Neanderthals and wiped them out.
Interesting.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm out of conversation. I had a bit of shit go down while we were recording.
You good?
As good as I could ever be.
Picked up a mess in those couple seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
I
man.
was going in, and then now I'm just kind of like, you know, Homer Simpson. Like, yo, Bart, you done wrong. Yeah, I'm Homer Simpson right now.
Life changes fast.
It really does, dude. It really does. Like, you're just like, I'm out here doing what I gotta do. Like, I know it's not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but for you to inflict your own way of thinking upon me, that's kind of selfish. But we're not gonna go into that whole mumbo jumbo. But yeah, definitely, definitely. Should we end it?
Oh, wait, I got one more note.
You're like, wait a minute, bro. I'm not done here yet, boy.
Stonehenge was made by fucking pagans and for their as a
Pagans,
center for their religious worship. Just to answer your fucking question since way back in the fuck.
bro.
For worship.
Do you know the whole point of the religion of pagans? Do you know what their whole base morality was?
Polytheism,
Yeah,
several gods,
big words, bro.
Polytheism is
Big
interesting,
words. A
man.
lot of people who hear that, they're not gonna understand what the fuck you're talking about. But what?
several gods worshiping.
Well, not even that. Pagans, their religion is like, don't consider yourself better than my cat, your dog, your cat, all this, your plant. Pagan religion is based off of like, you are nature, you are a part of this, and you have to accept this and do this. It's not like, oh, you did this, you're fucking blah blah blah, you're gonna go to hell. Paganism is like, you need to like understand that like everything is connected in this way. And it's not like trying to force you and saying like, if you don't understand this, you're going to hell. It's just saying that like, you are a part of this. Like,
Now imagine this. What if I want to be an asshole and nobody could say shit because it's the way I am? You can't fucking judge me. I am part of the motherfucking ecosystem. I belong here. I am the asshole. Yeah.
then if this was pagan law, dude, we would probably sacrifice your ass.
You
I don't know,
can't, bro.
man.
You gotta respect me.
Yeah,
Nah,
he
but
might.
If you're no better than the cat, you're no better than me. What the fuck?
you can't really do much about it then.
I attest to this bullshit.
Well, the thing
This
Alright,
about
then you're coming
fuckery.
on the front line with me, and we're gonna go fight that other tribe. We're gonna go, and hopefully you're on the front line and you die, so we're not gonna listen to your shit.
polytheism is interesting to me because it allows everything about the natural world, human experience, to be metaphored, and it's not just some casual metaphor either. It's a metaphor that's deeply ingrained in the religion that anyone can pull from. So Isaiah, speaking as he was, if we're speaking Greek, he might be embodying Ares in that instant, and you can't criticize the god. So who are you to strike him for being commanding and domineering? So paganism, I don't know their gods though, but I know they have plenty. So I imagine there's something aggressive and there's something sad, and likewise every individual is thus given a position because they're extensions of the gods, I think is the necessary point of paganism. Would you say, Dylan?
Fuck. You're gonna have to repeat that, bro. I'm sorry.
But you figure the idea of that though, like even a hierarchy, like saying you're not better than nobody, but yet there's still a hierarchy about it.
I feel like it's like a hierarchy. It's a hierarchy of strength. Of like, if you can't endure this, then obviously you shouldn't lead anybody. If you can't endure, oh my god, the water touched me, then get the fuck out. But like, if you can mentally withstand mountains, weather, people, and you have a bigger understanding of just then the now, but you have a bigger understanding of like, we need to do this as a unit. Like, think of people as ants. Like, this goes back to the slavery thing. Sad to say, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate on this, but some people just cannot evaluate their minds to be higher than what it is. And it's sad to say. Like, no matter what, you're going to need a working class. No matter what, you're going to need people to do this so the bigger minds can do this. And it's sad to say. Like, do I want to be a part of it? Not really. I don't. Like, honestly, I want everybody to be equal and all this, but when you say people all be equal at the same time, it's not possible. It's not. Like, so if everybody was thinking they were kings and gods, where the fuck would we have gotten? Let's be real here. Exactly. Nobody said shit.
We'd probably be fucking a million years ahead.
Dude, I wouldn't think we would be, because who the fuck would have done all the shit? Nobody. Nobody. Think about that. Like,
Well, here's something I have in mind.
and it sucks. It sucks to think like that because, like, you want everybody to prosper. You want everybody to live their own dreams, their own things. But deep down, if you want humanity to push forward, you can't, bro. Unless somebody is here to put some enlightenment onto that, then I am all ears. But I really don't think we can. Like, maybe we could put animals to do it. But then does that make us any better than the fucking animals? Does that make us any better than slavery? It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
Okay, Thanos, listen.
Clip.
That shit can't happen doesn't mean it needs to.
Yo, bro, when I watched Avengers the first time, I was like, yo, Thanos got a good description here.
He has a fucking infinity gauntlet. He can make more planets. What the fuck? You know the whole real story behind that motherfucking shit was, dog?
What?
He's
Oh,
a
he fucking
minimalist,
wants to fuck Deadpool's girlfriend, dog. That's the whole point of this
Oh,
fucking Infinity
no.
War bullshit.
Yep.
He's in love with death. He wants to impress the fucking chick by killing half the fucking universe. And Death is in love with Deadpool. And that's why he fucking cursed Deadpool to fucking live forever. Because he doesn't want him to be with fucking Death. He's in love with that chick. But besides the motherfucking point.
and
Yeah,
that
I don't
brings
know.
a story to mind. Are you guys familiar with the story of Hades and Persephone?
Yes.
Mhm.
No.
Here I'm looking to treat it as analogical to Thanos. If we're speaking of death and wiping out half the population and such, well, Persephone and her mother Demeter were responsible for the crops and everything budding in earth, the harvest. Hades lusted for her. He couldn't get permission from her mother, so he kidnapped her and drug her through a pit into the earth, into his domain. Cutting to the end of the story, the consequence is she's up on earth half the year and down there half the year. And thus we have the winter dead season and the spring life season. It's another 50-50 life and death scenario because of this death and life kind of gross, perverse fantasy, I guess.
My brain was not ready for that.
If he killed villain,
Hmm?
I think he killed.
Make a what? A kiln?
No, I'm thinking he's speaking because his fucking green lights are flashing.
Same.
I am talking. What do you mean? I'm here. Well, don't. Fuck family. Fuck family.
We hear that.
like, 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 Nick is more of familia than familia. And I hate to say it, but I fucking mean it, dude. At times, like, ugh. All right, don't worry. I'm gonna edit out all this part. We'll just edit out this whole 1 hour and 12 minutes into 14
You've got
minutes.
15
Huh?
streamers.
Oh, shit.
We're here to support you. Watch your podcast.
I can't tell if he wants to say something or is about to or what.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
No, dude. I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just vibing. Like I'm just vibing, bro.
Well, let's wrap up this episode and we can kick it.
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, so
Get your
thank you
mind off of it.
yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Thank you for joining us for Outer World Legacy Podcast, Episode 7. And we'll be right back with you on Friday. And for today, Cal had to leave us a little early. Me, personally, probably should have left about 10 minutes ago. But I'm still here, and we got my friend Nick, my friend Zay, and my friend Quinn. Great motherfuckers. And I would just like to show out the love and support for them. Y'all have a good night.